Welcome to Pod Band Pipecast, the premier pipe band podcast.
Hey.
Yay, good job. For those listeners at home, that just took us like 5 minutes to figure out.
It's because we spring it on them last minute.
Yes,
that's the fun
that's
of it.
why we do
It's
it.
the ADHD.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is our first episode at the Phoenix Highland Games.
Yes.
Woo! We're here with Mr. Stephen Megarity and of Megarity Reeds and other acclaim. And we're going to talk to him today about his career and making reeds and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yay!
Yay!
So let's
Thank you.
dive in. How'd you get into piping?
I started probably when I was about, I'm trying to think, maybe 10, 11 years old. My uncle was a bagpiper, my cousin was a bagpiper, my dad was a drummer. So they basically said, you're either going to be a drummer or a piper, you know. And drummers were really loud and annoying, so I thought I'd pick the bagpipes.
Well, there you go.
So-
It turned out that they're really loud and annoying too.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
So I just started as a young age, you know, through the family band, which is a little band, Killeen, in Armagh, Northern Ireland. And that's basically how I got started, you know.
Nice. So you're from Northern Ireland. How did you get here? Why are you here?
Why am I here?
Yeah, leave. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's not actually a joke. I came over to sort of judge at the Queen Mary Games, and I was assistant with LA Scott's band, so I just come over and I think I spent a weekend at the Queen Mary Highland Games, and I'm like, I'm moving here. That was basically it. So we got visas through the band and stuff like that, and basically that was the start of it.
Nice.
And then I lived the American dream and got married to an American, so
Nice. America.
America.
So what are you up to now? How'd you get there?
Basically right now I'm just, as I say, helping you guys with the Mesa Caledonian band. This is going to be my first time playing with you guys too.
Yeah.
This
Exciting.
weekend. That'll be
Yeah.
fun, you know. That's basically what I'm doing right now. I'm making reeds, trying to just work hard, things like that, you know.
Making reeds.
Yeah.
So you've played with some really great bands. What does it take to get to that level, and what is your advice for someone who says they want to play in a grade 1 band?
Yeah, that's a tough one because there's a certain element of practice that you need to play at the top level, but there needs to be a talent factor there too, you know. So that's the hardest thing actually, playing in bands and teaching bands and stuff, is people wanting to play that have got a really desire to play, but the talent's not there. Trying to get them G'd up that they want to do it, but you know that they have to understand that may not be good enough at the end of the day, you know. And I've seen a lot of that, you know. And then you get other guys that are just, it's sort of annoying that they're just very naturally talented and they just like show up and play and you're like, you know. And some people have to work harder, but I would say dub that one out. I would say hard work. I mean, and you need to practice, and I don't care how good you are. If you're not, you know, well rehearsed, you're not going to be good either. You know, you have to be well rehearsed, but you have to have the talent too. So it's like a tough one.
So you don't think just practice makes perfect?
Yeah. You need to have the talent, has to be there, and it's hard to say that because sometimes people don't want to hear it, but you have to be blunt in reality. If you take out these bands like Field Marshal and St. Lawrence O'Toole, like their worst player is very talented, you know what I mean? And whether it be the bass drummer, tenor section, pipers, drummers, I mean, they're top-notch players, you know. I can't think of a grade 1 band out there that I look at players and go, how's he playing there? You know what I mean? They're all good, you know?
Okay.
And that's what it takes at that level, you know. You can be talented to a certain degree, but still not be good enough for that top level. Because it's just so good right now. When you hear the top grade 1 bands, I would say over the last 5 years have just got insane, to be quite honest. There's a number of them could win a world championship, which it's never been that way. 10 years ago, you would have 2-3 favorites. Nowadays, the level's so high there that's 6, 7 bands could win it, you know.
And we also see a lot of people, especially in our, lower level bands here at our local Highland Games, who maybe they're older, maybe they just picked up pipes and they're 60 years old. And I think that's where you're getting at also, is maybe you do have that natural talent, but maybe you kind of, it's not that you shouldn't play, it's that, it's that you're maybe not going to be field marshal quality in the next
There's a lot that goes
10
into
years.
it.
I think when you come into it, you should just be there for the enjoyment more than anything, and accept the level you're at. You know what I mean? I think people need to do that. Sometimes we're like, I'd love to do that. I mean, I'd love to play soccer for the Galaxy, but ain't gonna happen anytime soon,
Don't lose hope. No.
Lose hope.
If they want to be at the bottom of the league every year, they should sign me.
So on that note, having worked with a lot of bands in general, is there anything that you can say across the board that you're always seeing that a lot of bands or a lot of people always do that you're having to correct?
That I'm what, sorry?
That you're having to correct, is it mistakes or things that...
I mean, honestly, I'll be honest, as a reed maker, I know, maintenance for bagpipes is something that, even in this day and age where I think it's relatively easy to get correct, but you see so many people with showing up with bad maintenance in pipes. Even people with experience, it's sort of quite, it's basic stuff, but it is frustrating when you come into bands and teach. Sometimes some guy will come up, his drones are all loose, and you'll be like, you kidding me? You know what I mean? And then showing up with reeds as well. People will show up with reeds and they'll be dry, and they haven't played them and stuff like that. The basic thing for having good bagpipes is play your pipes 10 minutes every day, But a lot of people don't do that. And then they'll show up at a practice and haven't played their pipes. Maintenance is the thing, key, And I see it at top level bands too, sometimes,
So after we just told you, no matter how much you practice, you may not be good enough. Play your pipes, play your instrument.
Yeah, you have to.
Right.
What is your favorite part about playing pipes or pipe bands in general?
I would say my favorite part is me personally. I like
you personally.
Yeah,
I thought that
yeah,
was
no, but
you.
no, I didn't mean that. I mean,
Favorite part.
me personally, I would say is just having fun with friends afterwards and seeing everybody's faces. People get into I love playing bagpipes, and I mean, I enjoy it, but I don't. To me, having fun with people afterwards and seeing people's faces, I like it when a band does well. If I'm teaching a band and they do well, and I look at everybody's face and they're really excited. I mean, to me that makes my day more than anything.
It's like watching them grow up.
No, exactly.
You made that.
It's like watching your kid, kicking a soccer ball and breaking your neighbor's window, and you're like, But I mean, I love watching the people's faces. When people they're all proud inside. It makes me happy.
Nice.
That's my favorite part, and then the beer afterwards, obviously.
What are you most looking forward to about piping in the next year or two?
Right now, I'm actually looking forward to the band right now, Mesa. I'm looking forward to trying, because I've been teaching your band, but I haven't played.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to maybe playing and hopefully trying to strive towards bringing more players in and bringing the band up a level. That's what I'm looking forward to, quite frankly.
Do you like teaching in the band more than playing, or vice versa?
It's all the same to me. I mean, I like, I don't know, it's a strange one. It's if I can make somebody sound just a little bit better, I'm happy. That's what I like to do.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, a
then?
little bit of both.
Okay.
You want the band to sound good, and people are happy when the band sounds good. So it makes me happy.
That's cool.
And normally when they sound good, they buy me free beer.
So are Stevie and beer.
Are you really looking forward to the band sounding good, or is it the beer?
Both.
Both. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about reeds. Keep in mind, we're drummers. You know that. Most of our viewers know that. We don't know very much about reeds. So we're going to ask you some questions of ours, and then we've also taken questions from our viewers who are pipers, who have some interesting reed questions for you that will make no sense to us.
Questions to read for you.
Read.
Read.
To read.
Read.
Yes. So, how did you get into making reeds?
Well, I started, I'm trying to think. I started with a company called Warnock Reed Makers back in the day, which is now technically Chesney Reed Makers. I knew the guys, and I joined Field Marshal, I believe, is when that happened. I joined Field Marshal Pie Band, and David Chesney was in the band, and he just offered me a job, and it was
Nice.
never looked back. I started there with a great David Chesney, very nice man.
So you didn't start with like a hunk of wood and a knife.
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna make this a reed.
Yeah, I just cut a tree down one day and I put this hacksaw. And,
That's how it works, right?
Man, I learned from the best, shall we say? You know what I mean? And then the rest is history. And then I went on to work with a nice gentleman, Andy Ross. We had a company, Megarity Ross Reeds, together for a number of years. Sadly, Andy's not with us anymore. So I just do it myself now. Megarity Reeds.
Is that your day job, or do you?
Yeah, that's my day job.
Nice.
It's my full-time job.
What about making reeds is interesting to you?
I don't know if it's interesting. It's more a pain in the butt, to be quite honest.
What keeps you going then?
The mortgage. Yeah, reeds are definitely anybody that doesn't know anything about it, that just, you know, you go to the shops, I need 15 reeds, 20 reeds. If they knew what went into making it, you know, the quality of cane, you know, just the weather as well, you know, when you're making reeds, especially in California, because we get very dry sometimes and it can be challenging. But in general, it's a difficult thing to do, because you're always wanting to keep the quality up and make sure you're not sending guys reeds that are not good and stuff like that. So it can be, yeah, there's a few days I've finished making reeds and I went quickly to the fridge for beer. And my wife will look at me like, yeah, good day, honey. How about But at the end of the day, when you're making good quality reeds and you hear a band playing your product sounding good, that makes you feel good as well, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah, I made them. They sound nice, you know.
So without, giving away any trade secrets, what's the process? How do you make a reed?
Well, basically, it comes in a tube form. It actually looks almost like a bamboo, like a stick of bamboo, you know. And I just have different cutters, shapers, planers. It's split in 4, cut to lengths. There's planers that do the inside and outside surface, and then I have a little jig. And all my reeds are like hand carved on a jig. You put it in a little jig set, and then it's hand chiseled, you know. They're the best reeds, them ones.
So is everything done by hand then? Or are there
Yeah,
any
it's all
machines?
hand.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
basically,
Wow.
yeah.
Is it just you? You got a team?
Yeah, I just do it.
Oh,
You know,
boy.
sometimes if I get busy, I hire the neighbor's kid to come help or something like that. You know? I'll be like, hey man, go in there and get me a beer. You know?
Your secretary, right?
Yeah. But mostly, I like just doing it myself. I mean, there's a lot of reed makers out there, so it's not as busy, like technically for me, as it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or 20 years ago now, when we had Megarity Ross Reeds. There was probably 3-4 predominant reed makers. Now there's a bunch that popping out, man. Anybody with a garden shed, they're making reeds now. You know?
Find a stick of bamboo, make a reed.
I know, seriously.
That's incredible, though. I know Piper's order boxes of reeds, and you actually made all of those by hand.
Handmade with love.
Made with love.
Made with love.
And beer.
Dipped in whiskey. That's what makes the reeds really good. That's the part.
Oh, that's
you know.
the secret.
You get a
no.
little bit of scotch and then just drop the cane in. And
We figured it out.
yeah. Oh no, I give away.
Now we can
Oh,
make
no.
reeds. As drummers who have no idea what's going on, we've seen you use some tools to cut or scrape the reeds and then put them back in the channer and they sound better. What's going on there? Why are you always messing with them?
Yeah, well, what it is, it's you get some pussies in the band that can't blow a normal reed, and they want to make it easier, you know.
Okay.
No, that's not right. No, sometimes you get a reed a little tight or whatever. Cane, I mean, it's a wood, a form of wood, isn't it? So I mean, can open out and just get a little too strong for people. So sometimes you take a scrape, sometimes you use an elastic band on it. Different things, you know. Generally, when you're doing that, you're making it easier for some wimp, you know.
Why is it easier though?
It just frees the reed up. You're taking wood off it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So okay.
when you scrape it like that,
And that's a great, into the next question that we have for you is, we've heard hard and easy reeds, and once again, we're drummers. What does any of that mean? I've heard pipers say, oh, I can't blow this reed, it's too hard, and we're just like, get better?
It's just you have to put more effort in it. to get it to vibrate.
Okay.
Because you're blowing into the thing to get the vibration. So, something that vibrates really, really fast and quick and easy generally will be easy. And if you see somebody's face going red, that's generally the reed's hard, So.
Okay.
Cool. Want to get into some
Questions
from the viewer, the
fans.
fans.
Let's see what we got in here. Where are you from in Ireland?
I am from a town called Armagh in Northern Ireland. So it's like the middle of Northern Ireland, sort of west from Belfast a little bit.
Okay. What was it like growing up there?
It was a little different. It was not a great time. Thank goodness it's a lot better now by the looks of things. It was a little different, I mean, over the last 20 years, I think, everything from technology to basic as cars and stuff like that has just taken off. When I was a kid growing up, it was like one family had a car.
Oh.
Nowadays you have a family of 4 cars and stuff like that, and you never seen that back in my day. But I would say it was just it's hard to really explain it. It was just, we were very mad little buggers back then. You know what I mean? I don't even know what to say about that.
Just read a history book.
I know.
Google it.
The internet exists. Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have the count now here. I've got a sister and I've got 4 brothers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do
Actually,
any
5 brothers. Sorry, that's not the count there again. Yeah, we're a good old family, good old Irish family,
Do any of them play pipes or drums?
Yeah, my brother Graham is a drummer. My brother Alistair. He started learning bagpipes, but then he stopped. As I say, my brother started learning, he stopped. And my brother Richard and Graham, they're both drummers, and I have a little brother Ryan. And then my sister, she's actually a country singer back in Northern Ireland. She does all this country stuff, She yodels too. It's quite funny.
Is it like American country or is it Irish?
She'll do a little bit of both. Yeah. I mean,
Can you sing us a sample?
No. I would break the mic.
Patreon exclusive.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
No.
pretty much we were very family, pipe band family orientated. My uncle was a bagpiper, my cousin was a bagpiper. I had a second cousin who was a bagpiper in the band. At one point, I think there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Megarities in the band.
Wow.
Yeah. And we only had about 8 people in the band. No. Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay, and then the last question on this one is piping lessons? ? Did you take them? Do you do them?
I do. I don't do individual lessons personally. I tried it, and I just don't have the patience for it. I like doing band, workshops and stuff like that. Working with bands and helping them to play better together, sound better, stuff like that.
Okay. Who's your favorite football soccer team?
Liverpool. They're absolutely brilliant. And Rangers from Scotland, but they're not that brilliant.
Oh.
Yeah, and can I name all the teams I like?
Go for it.
Galaxy, LA Galaxy. Who else? That's it. Glenavon, Northern Ireland, but they sort of suck, So.
By the way, none of this means anything to us personally, but I know there's people out there who are screaming
If there's somebody from Ireland watching, they'll know.
They'll know.
Yeah.
By the way, for people who can't see, he has an orange microphone. We had the discussion. We were going to give him a green one, and he's like, no.
I just like orange better.
Yeah.
I like the color.
Where do you get the cane for your reeds?
I actually get it from France. I used to get it from Spain, but I've found the quality of the stuff I'm getting from France a lot better.
Okay.
Good job, France.
Yeah. Way to get that cane.
Yeah, and I used to buy it bulk, big orders, and I've found now that I'm buying smaller orders, I get a better quality. So.
Interesting.
There's one question in here that I'm going to save for last.
Oh, great.
Why am I so cute?
How long does it take to make a reed? So one reed.
See, that's everybody asks that all the time. The thing is, you have all these different parts to do. So no, you have to depending on which reed, I make different designs of reeds, but there's one I use that I have to crimp the staple. So you have to do all that. So you'll do that. Then you have to prepare all the cane, cut all the cane. But like as I say, once everything's made, you can literally make a reed in a minute or two. You know what I mean? Probably 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
It's the prep work.
But it's the prep work. A lot of the prep work. Sometimes the prep work takes longer than it does to actually the reed making part. And then you have to test the reeds and all after that as well. So actually making a reed is quick. It's all the preparation work before that, afterwards too.
So do you actually put the reeds in a channer and test them? Or?
Yeah,
Wow,
every reed
okay,
gets
every
tested.
reed.
Yeah, you have to, because there's the reed basically comes out, and you have to take the top off the reed to pitch it up, basically. So if I didn't test the reeds, they would not be good.
Quality
Hand
control.
There'll be a lot of people sending boxes back going, what the hell?
Okay. How long should a reed last if it's treated well?
Actually, yeah, that's a good one. Reeds generally, I had a reed in the LA Scots, I think about 3-4 years ago. And I think Colin, the pipe major, was the same. We had a reed in for about 2 years, 2 seasons. Generally, the reed I have in now is a new one. It's a little bit of a new design that I'm doing. So the one before that, probably had it in 6 months or so. So, you should get 6 months to a year out of a reed pretty easy if it's a good one, And but then you get kids in bands and people that, like, for instance, you guys here, you get guys that live in like Flagstaff, up in the high altitude places like Colorado. They really struggle. The reeds just dry out very quick, so that they don't get a really long time out of the reeds, But where we are, Scotland, they almost have the opposite. They probably get the reeds breaking down because they're too wet maybe sometimes. So you don't want a reed gets too wet or too dry. It's not good either way, So it could be anything from a week to 2 years.
Till it starts sounding bad, right?
How long does a drum head last?
Long time.
Long time. Well,
Yeah.
that's probably about... it does depend, right?
So you could have a drum head for 2 weeks. You could have one that lasts
Oh,
a
I
year.
hope not. Yeah, I think our heads have been on our drums. Well, we've changed
Depends on
a
who you
couple.
let tune them.
Well, true. Also that.
Yeah, I know a few guys that when they tune drums, the heads last about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last question. How much whiskey does it take to knock you out?
None, because I don't drink whiskey.
Oh,
Actually, I don't like whiskey. I'm a beer and wine guy, personally.
same.
I don't really drink that much. I'm on a diet right now, so I'm like drinking Michelob Ultra. It's like water, So I don't really. I like wine. Whiskey, I cannot stand.
What's your favorite
I'm sorry,
wine?
I'm letting Ireland down right now, saying I don't like whiskey, but that stuff
Disappointed.
tastes terrible.
What's your favorite wine?
My favorite wine is. I'm going to get deep here. Probably the 2004 Beringer Merlot.
Ooh.
See, I even got it really close enough. Yeah. Around about that. My father-in-law has like a really nice wine cellar with like 900 bottles of wine. So we like.
Oh
them
man,
down
that's
there.
the dream.
Yeah. So he gets some really good ones and some good, decent ones and stuff like that. So they got me onto the wine more than anything,
I like me a good $8 bottle of wine from Target.
The black box.
No, I don't get boxed wine.
Black
it's in a
box.
bottle.
So, for real last question. If people want to buy your reeds or get in contact with you about working with them, how do they contact you?
You can just go to my website, MegarityReedspro.com, or just type in Megarity Reeds, you'll get me, you'll find me. Yeah, I like doing workshops, so if you bands out there need some help, give me a wee buzz,
You're allowed to share our instructor. It's okay.
Yeah, no, I've did that before. At one time, I was at Pleasanton Highland Games, and I don't know how I did it, but I tuned 3 grade 1 bands on the day out of 6.
Oh, jeez.
That was fun. But we did it, and I want to say they all got a prize, so
Nice.
they're all up there in the prize list.
Doing something right.
It's the
I don't know.
reeds.
That was a tough one. I was just running in between bands. I've did it with you guys a few times with Mesa.
Yeah.
Blandfords. But it gets tough. It's easier just working with one. But yeah, it can be done.
Cool.
Well, thank you for coming on the show.
No problem,
thank
ladies.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
That was fun. All
Have
right.
a nice day.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this show, then support us on Patreon for exclusive content as well as the video of us recording this. We'll have special exercises we'll be writing as well as tips and tricks with tenor drumming and other instruments to come. Subscribe to us on YouTube for some tenor tutorials and possibly other tutorials later on. And like us on Facebook at Podband Pipecast.